So I'm going to start with the first question, which
Yes.
is how did you find yoga?
Um, I was at university studying psychology, and I think because I was spending so much time studying and in my head, I kind of thought that I needed to find something to kind of balance that out a bit. And I tried a few different exercise classes, and I felt that that kind of helped me to kind of get out of all the studying in my head and to kind of move my energy down away from my head. But then a friend suggested going to a yoga class, and I'd never been before, and I didn't really know much about it. But I was up for anything, so I said, "Why not?" And we went to an Osho center and did a really lovely yoga class. And then I just decided that it made me feel really good, and I decided to go every week. And then after finishing university, I carried on with my yoga and tried to do it every week, sometimes twice a week, sometimes once a week, sometimes less often, sometimes more often. But it was kind of a constant thread, even though I wasn't really focusing on it, it was always in the background. And I discovered a really lovely Shivananda class, taught by an Italian guy called Fausto Maria, who was in his 60s and was very inspiring. And it was beautiful. It was we had these little fairy lights in the roof and lovely music playing. And afterwards, we had almond tea and biscuits, and really nice kind of group of people and nice feel to it. And it always felt like especially when I moved to London. First of all, I felt like the yoga was really great because of all the studying, and then I felt like it was a really good kind of antidote to city living, to have that peace and that kind of tranquility. And you kind of, it was almost like, you felt like you kind of could go away on holiday and then come back to London again, just for those 2 hours, having that sense of being able to just be free of tension and stress. So, and then after doing those classes for a few years, I then felt like I wanted a bit more of a challenge. And I can't remember if it was a friend or whether I just decided to go to a different style of class, but I went to the Life Centre and I went to a very challenging, I think it was an Ashtanga class or an Ashtanga-based class. And I felt like I couldn't do any of the yoga hardly, having felt like I was quite, I wouldn't say advanced, but having felt like I could kind of do most of the postures in the other class. It was a bit of a shock suddenly being a beginner again, and it put me off doing that yoga class again. And then for some reason I decided to go back again. I don't know why. And then actually, or maybe I actually thought that I would quite like a new challenge, and so I did decide to follow up that class and that style. And I kind of enjoyed the feeling then of actually embracing the idea of being a beginner rather than kind of shying away from it and thinking, actually, this is a new challenge and this is a new path, and why not give it a go? And I think it's always a bit of a challenge when you are a beginner, and for beginners generally, that we don't like not being good at something. And I think I've taken my husband to quite a few yoga classes, and he doesn't like the idea that he's not very good at it because he's good at most things, and he hates the idea that I'm better at yoga than him. And I think it's funny how when you start yoga, you're so concerned with what you look like and what the postures look like, and you're always looking at everything from the outside, and then it's kind of like it's a funny thing that the better you get at yoga, the less you care about what it looks like. It's a funny kind of shift that happens, and in the end, you don't. By the time you are quite good at yoga and the postures do look quite good, you actually don't care what they look like anymore. And it's kind of trying to get that impression to the beginners and the people who are new to yoga that actually, because they say, "Oh, I can't do yoga because I'm too stiff," or "There's no point in me going to yoga because I'm no good at it." And you're like, well, actually, that's not the point of yoga. The point is it makes you feel better, and you don't have to make the positions look perfect to begin with to get the benefits. So it was all kind of a bit of a learning curve. And then I kind of just loved it, carried on with it. And then I started to study shiatsu because I wanted to learn more about energy work and how to help other people using some kind of technique, whether I was trying to decide what I wanted to do. And I was working for a documentary film company at the time, and then after I'd studied shiatsu part-time alongside it, I decided, while I was doing shiatsu, I kept thinking, gosh, yoga has all these effects, and actually, instead of me making someone lie down and helping them to improve their energy, why can't I just show them what to do and they can do it for themselves, so that actually they feel a bit more empowered rather than a bit more like a victim. So even though I still loved the shiatsu and I got a lot from it, and it changed a lot of my perspective on how I look at everything, I'm very grateful for the course. It also, I think, pushed me in the direction of yoga somehow. So then I ended up teaching friends and teaching my mother and teaching her friends, and eventually started teaching classes. It just kind of, it wasn't like I said suddenly one day, I think I should be a yoga teacher. It's just, I love doing yoga. I wanted to teach other people what I was loving so that they could have an opportunity to feel the effects. And so it just kind of happened without really any big intention. Sorry, it's such a long answer.
No, that's great. It's so nice to hear your whole story, and it's so nice to hear that it just happened so naturally and you just kind of ended up doing it without really even realizing and planning.
And that's actually the similar thing for the pregnancy yoga.
Oh, really?
Which, I know another thing you wanted to find out was
Yes.
how I happened to teach pregnancy yoga, and it was a similar thing really. I was just very interested in pregnancy because I think it's such a magical experience, and I just really wanted to find out more about pregnancy and yoga. So I did a short course, and at the end of the course I didn't feel like I felt ready to teach it or anything, but I was just very interested to learn about it. And I always felt really nervous about the idea of teaching pregnant women because they come across, before you've actually been pregnant, as very fragile, so delicate, and you just like, oh, I could never teach pregnant women. What happens if something went wrong, and how would I know what to teach? And when I got pregnant myself, I actually realised that I was ready and I did know everything, and that all that kind of worry was totally, unfounded. Yeah. So I started teaching again, small groups to start with, and then did a more intensive course. I think I did a 1 week course, and then started to teach, started to cover some classes at the Life Centre. So this was after I'd had my first baby, because I felt, and I think, having been through the pregnancy and been to pregnancy yoga classes and practiced pregnancy yoga myself, I really realised the importance of yoga during pregnancy and how much it could help, and how the benefits were even greater probably than just doing normal general yoga, and how much more you need it when you're pregnant, and how helpful it was for labour and all those things. So I was more driven to teaching that because I just thought, this is so amazing. I mean, I've gone through 9 months of pregnancy and I haven't even had virtually one ache or pain. I mean, how could that happen? It's got to be yoga.
Yeah.
And subsequently, the girls that I've taught in the class, I watch them and I'm like, wow, you're 9 months pregnant. You look incredible, and you look, you're glowing. You've got so much energy, and in the classes they say to me, I feel fantastic, and they just say they've really noticed the difference between the weeks or the days that they're doing yoga and the days that they're not, and if they have a break. And it's such an amazing thing to do during pregnancy. So I ended up kind of, again, accidentally just going along that route. I didn't stop teaching general yoga, but suddenly I became known as a pregnancy teacher just because I was teaching pregnancy as well as general yoga. And then people would say to me, I didn't realise you taught normal yoga, general yoga. And I didn't, again, intend to say, right, well, now I'm going to become a pregnancy yoga teacher. I just was interested in teaching pregnant women, loved teaching them, and suddenly the classes were getting busier and busier. And then I got pregnant again, so 2 years after my first child was born, I became pregnant, and the manager at the Life Centre where I was teaching came up to me, and she didn't know I was pregnant because I hadn't told anyone, because I'd only just found out a few weeks before, and I didn't want to tell everyone right at the beginning until, it was 12 weeks. And she came up to me and she said, Tara, I've been thinking that you should do a pregnancy yoga DVD because you've got, a great following in your classes. Everyone says how much they love your style of yoga, because it was a bit more dynamic and slightly different, I think, than most pregnancy yoga classes. And they said, and she said, we're selling a lot of American DVDs. All the pregnant women who are buying DVDs have only got the option of buying an American one, and there isn't really an English one available, and that doesn't really make sense. you really should do one. And I said, well, don't tell anyone, but I am actually pregnant. So if we did do one, then it would be perfect timing.
Perfect timing.
It was really good timing. And then we were looking at which company we were going to do it with, and we ended up not finding the right company. And the people we were meeting with didn't have a clue about yoga, or it was a group of guys who were just totally on a different wavelength and couldn't see at all the vision that we had. So we were like, let's just do it ourselves. We'll get my friend to film it. We'll get another friend of a friend to edit it, and just do it on a really low budget. And hopefully we'll sell a few hundred, and that will cover the costs. And we sold about 50,000.
Oh wow, that's incredible!
So it was great.
Well done.
It was a lot of work. It took us about over a year to actually make and get it all edited, and we had a lot of problems along the way, but it was totally worth it, because we've had so many lovely emails from women saying what a difference it's made to their pregnancy and their birth. So even if you get just 5 people saying it's helped them, then you think, wow,
what an achievement. That obviously it was meant to be in so many ways.
It was, and it was so lucky that we did it on our own, because we could really do everything the way we wanted, from the script to the cover to the music. And we were incredibly lucky, because I love Wah's music, and she I often use her music in my classes, and I wrote her an email, just, she didn't have a clue who I was, saying, Wah, I really love your music, and I'm making a yoga DVD, and I'd love to use it, but we're on a really tight budget, and would it be possible? And and we were incredibly lucky that she gave us a really good deal, so we could use it. And I think it makes the DVD, the music,
really, you think it makes such a difference?
Such a difference to the whole atmosphere.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's such a nice story. With a happy ending. A very happy ending. Okay, so I'll move on to the next question. So a little bit more about you being a teacher.
Yeah.
So lots of teachers are members of Love Yoga Online. They say, they teach all the time, and it's hard to get to class, etc. So they always ask me, for more resources for teachers. And I wanted to ask you, what, in your experience, do you think it takes to become, a fabulously successful yoga teacher? What's your...
So, I think it's quite difficult to say, but I know from my experience, when I'm talking about what ingredients it makes or what characteristics make a good yoga teacher, I'm not thinking of myself and thinking, well, I'm a great yoga teacher and this is what I'm like. I'm thinking of which teachers have I had which I've thought were great. And then I often think, well, I'd quite like to have some of those qualities. And, so I think a good voice is very, very important, because you can be the most amazing yoga teacher, but if the voice isn't quite right, for me, it doesn't really do it. You're lying in Shavasana and they're going, relax. And you're like, how am I going to relax? So for me, I think the voice is really important. I think how you relate to your students is also incredibly important as a teacher of any kind. You want to be approachable, friendly, empathetic, compassionate, patient, and be able to relate to people and to show them that you're just like them, rather than putting yourself up onto this pedestal, which I know some teachers do, and I don't really like that. But at the same time, I think there needs to be a sense of, you have to be a little bit careful that you don't make everybody your best friend who you're teaching, because I know some teachers can also do that. And it's nice, I do make friends often with my students, but I think that it's important that you have some sort of boundaries.
Yeah.
And what else do I think makes a good yoga teacher? Enthusiasm. And another thing I think that is important is that you don't stop learning, and you don't think, I'm done now. I've done my 500 hours. I've read all the key texts. And my classes are busy. I can just sit back and just, I think I think it's so important to keep learning. I'm always doing different courses with different visiting teachers, usually from the States or India, or trying to go off and do other courses if I can. And you've got to keep learning. I mean, because that makes the classes evolve.
Yeah.
That makes the classes more interesting for you to teach, so you're not always teaching the same thing. And it makes it more interesting for the students, so that if you've got regular students coming, they can keep learning from you, rather than after coming for a couple of years realise that there's not much more to learn. So I think you have to keep evolving as a teacher, and to have a thirst for knowledge and a hunger for growing, with your experience and your knowledge.
That's a lovely answer. Thank you. I think I love all those things that you said, and I think all those things are so important, and definitely the continuing to learn is so, like you said, for yourself, just as much for your students, to keep yourself interested and engaged.
Yes. I mean, I think you learn a lot from your students, there's no doubt.
Yes.
Especially as a pregnancy yoga teacher. I'm constantly learning things from them. And I think even, in my general yoga classes as well, you learn a lot from your experience as a teacher, but you still need to learn from other teachers as well.
Yeah. Thank you. So, second to last question. How do you bring the teachings of yoga into your life from the mat?
Yeah, and that can be a bit of a tricky
Yeah, it can be, yeah.
do.
I mean, it's very broad, and it can be whatever you...
Yeah, I mean, it is a tricky one, especially, I think, when you're living in a fast-paced, stressful city.
Yeah.
Lucky if you're living in Cornwall, not so lucky when you're living in London. There's stress all around. There's a lot of stress when you have children, and a lot of needing to leave the house early in the morning with everybody fed, dressed, teeth brushed, homework packed, PE kit packed, music books packed, and just chaos, general chaos, and children taking 15 minutes to put their shoes on and just try. I think they teach you a lot of patience, but also you can use your yoga techniques, and you can. I think the yoga makes you more aware of when you lose balance, and just to try and stay calm, try and stay centered, and to try and stay balanced. And also, I think with yoga, you've got these techniques that you can use when you aren't feeling so balanced, and when you are feeling a bit low in energy, or if you are feeling stressed or tense, that you can use your breathing techniques and just go away for 5 minutes, or do yoga nidra if you're feeling exhausted and need to recharge your batteries, or you've got techniques that you can then use when you're at home. Or it might just be some stretches because you've got been at the computer for too long, and just being aware that your shoulders have tightened, or that you are tense, or that you are breathing more shallowly. I think yoga makes you more aware of when you are starting to feel off balance. And in fact, this idea of the whole balance thing, because I am really interested in it, because I do think that that's one of the main things as a yoga teacher. You learn to conserve your energy better, so that you don't kind of go mad and then suffer for a few days, either with drinking or partying or staying up too late. You're kind of just more aware of eating the right foods, having enough sleep, not overdoing it generally, and just trying to be a bit more balanced. But it doesn't mean that you can't do those things, but learning a bit more about moderation to try and contain your energy and to have the best energy that you can have. And then this idea about kind of how we all go off balance, and linking it to the elements in Ayurveda, especially compounded by the seasons, when it's really cold, or when it's really hot, or when it's really windy. And the idea of trying to stay in balance using the yoga was one of the things that the ideas from which my newest series of yoga DVDs was based on. And because of my training in shiatsu before studying yoga, I kind of learned a lot about energy and the different elements, and how they can throw you off balance, and how to bring yourself back into balance. And so that's also one of the things that was the foundations for the new yoga DVDs.
Yes, so tell us more about that. Tell us more about your DVDs.
Yes. So basically, there are 3 new DVDs. So first of all, I did the pre and postnatal series, which was called Bump, Birth and Beyond, which my husband named.
That's so cute.
It's a good title.
Yeah.
So there's 3 DVDs, prenatal for pregnancy, postnatal yoga for the moms, and then yoga with the babies for having a bit of fun with the babies and using the babies, and also benefits for the babies of doing the stretches and the exercises. And then after we'd done that series, we thought, there were so many women who were saying, we've done your pregnancy DVDs and we've had our babies, but we'd quite like to carry on doing general yoga. So like, okay, better do general yoga DVDs now. And I'd always wanted to do general yoga DVD, because also, like we were saying before, everyone's saying, I didn't realise that you taught general yoga. You're a pregnancy yoga teacher, aren't you? Which is, great. But actually I do general yoga too, so it was quite nice to branch out. And the first DVD was the Earth Foundation practice, and that was mainly geared to beginners or people who wanted to kind of develop their foundations. And it's all about the foundations of the posture, connecting to the earth, and lots of standing poses, and generally just feeling the connection through the feet. And it's all about foundations, so the foundation of the earth and also your foundations on it. And then the next DVD, which has just been released, is called Air, Water, Flow. And the whole series is called Elements of Yoga. I was just seeing if I had one.
I was actually just watching on your Facebook page a little clip of the air. It looks amazing. It's so beautiful. It's such a beautiful setting.
There's a clip on my website as well, and there's YouTube, and there are some YouTube clips as well of each one, if anyone's interested.
So what's your website?
My website is just taraleeyoga.com. And if you go onto YouTube and you search Tara Lee Yoga, Elements of Yoga, or Pregnancy Yoga, or any of the others, then you'll be able to see clips of each DVD. And we filmed them on location, so we went to this national kind of trust park and outside of London, and it's very beautiful. And there was the Earth DVD. It was amazing. I was doing some pranayama breathing exercises, and I had a lake behind me, and it was almost like we'd engineered, like literally someone had thrown some breadcrumbs into the river, the lake, because suddenly my eyes are closed and I rub my palms together, and suddenly these white birds are flying all around me, and it just looks so ridiculous.
Wow!
I didn't even know. I was just doing my thing, and I've got these amazing birds flying around behind me. It's fantastic. Yes, I was very happy to do a location DVD rather than just a studio one, because I've done 3 studio ones, and it's just got a totally different feel to it, and it's quite atmospheric. And so the air water one it's more of a kind of intermediate level one. So once you feel like you're comfortable with the earth one and the foundations, then you can start to move on to the air water. And the air water is about connecting to the air and water elements within us, and the sense of the air and the breath, creating space in the body, and water, the movement of the water and the way that we flow and the way that we move, so that you can move a little bit more freely within your body. And that was, it's, if you like dancing, then it's a little bit more fluid and flowing. And people who there are some people who prefer to maybe do that kind of style of yoga. So if you like to dance or kind of move a bit more fluidly, then that yoga practice would be one that you'd enjoy. And there's a lot of good breathing techniques to learn as well for that one, which are really amazing for changing the way that you feel in your mind. So very, very powerful breathing techniques.
Sounds amazing. I'm there.
I would like the air water one. And then after the air water one, we filmed the fire DVD, which is the last one of the box set. There's 3. So they are available all together or separately. And the fire one's a bit more advanced for people who have got a regular established yoga practice. Or if they've been doing the other DVDs for a while, then they might suddenly want a new challenge. And the fire one is obviously about creating heat. So we're moving more dynamically. And so it's much faster pace, more challenging exercises. And also one thing that lots of my students say is that they like the fact that in my classes I do quite a lot of core strengthening work, because I think one thing about I wouldn't say a criticism, but some people would say that in yoga there's not so much strengthening for the core. I mean, you've got Navasana and all the poses, you should really be strengthening your core, but compared to Pilates, which is so specific and kind of being able to focus on building these muscles and how important these muscles are for your whole structure and support, preventing lower back pain. So I tend to blend in quite a lot of Pilates-based abdominal strengthening exercises to strengthen the transverse abdominals and just to really create that support. And so the dynamic yoga in the Fire, there's a lot of abdominal strengthening, which some people are really into. But each of the DVDs has a bonus section at the end, and so even the air, water, and the air, water, and the earth one have also got a little bit at the end, which you can click on to choose, which is just pure abdominal strengthening exercises from the Fire DVD. We've slotted it in just so you get a taster, and then you can just, if you want to just spend 5 minutes a day, because you know that you haven't got very strong abdominal muscles, then that would be a good thing to do.
I think that's such a good idea. Just this morning I was looking online for, I just had done my run and I wanted to just do like some quick ab work, and I just, I was just bored of doing the stuff that I already do. So that's just so perfect. I always think that would just be such a great idea.
So what we've done is each DVD has 3 20-minute practices, because we also know that, as good as your intentions are, we don't often have an hour to spare.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you're at home and there's other things going on,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And especially people with kids as well, you really don't have much time. So 20 minutes is quite easy to fit into the schedule. And sometimes you'll feel like doing an extra 20 minutes and sometimes you won't. So you've got a choice of 3 20-minute sections for each of the DVDs. And then you've got the bonus sections, which might be just a series of balances, because you're feeling a bit off balance, just to help to focus and concentrate, especially if you've got to be focused for a meeting or something, or to study. And then there's specific breathing techniques, which you could just do the breathing if you feel like you need to just breathe a little bit more deeply, or if you're feeling a bit kind of stressed or busy in your mind. And then there's the abdominal strengthening core exercises, which you can do on their own as well, just as a 5-minute section, or you can do a relaxation shavasana, which is just 5 minutes if you just feel like you really need to relax, or you're about to go to bed or something.
And how do people get hold of these? Like, where can they find them on your website?
You can either buy them on my website, taraliyoga.com, or you can get them on amazon.co.uk. And the Fire one is very interesting to watch. I don't know if you've seen a clip yet. You can look at it on YouTube, or soon I'll put it on my website, the clip, once it's released. But it was filmed at night in a forest.
Oh, wow.
So it's dark,
yes.
And it's quite cold, so you can see my breath sometimes when I'm going.
Wow, so it looks really fiery.
It's quite unusual. It's quite unusual. We've got fire around the mat where I'm doing
That sounds so creative.
It's quite cool. Yeah. Fire, I have to say. It's very unusual. So you'll have to have a look at that one.
I will do. And if people want to come to your class, like if they want to come to your class and experience your class, where can they do that?
I'm just teaching at the Life Centre in Notting Hill, and a few privates, but mainly at the Life Centre, which is in very near Notting Hill Tube Station. It's literally like a 2-minute walk from the tube station, and all the classes and the schedule is online, and updates if I'm not there. You can just check the schedule just to see which days I'm teaching and times, and you can just drop in whenever you want. You don't have to book a course or anything.
That's fantastic.
And then Gemma, also I was going to say, if people are interested, I've got a book coming out next year.
Oh, have you? Are you mid?
I know, we've done it.
Oh, you've done it? Oh.
It's coming out in the spring. It's already available for pre-order, actually, on Amazon, amazingly enough, even though I haven't really seen I've through the final edits, but I haven't actually had a book in my hands yet, but it's already online to order.
And what is it called?
It's a pregnancy yoga book with a sample DVD within it, and it's just for people who want to know more about pregnancy yoga, and it's got beautiful meditations, affirmations, birth story, and lots of exercises for pregnancy to do.
Oh, how exciting!
Yes,
you have been busy.
I have 3 DVDs and a book in 1 year,
and 2 children. In the meantime, in the preceding years,
no nanny.
and no nanny, and a husband.
I'm a bit crazy at the moment. Luckily, my husband's been helping a lot.
Well, it obviously, it suits you because you're just looking fabulous, and it's so inspiring to hear you talk about what you're doing, and
thank you.
It really, really inspires me to try it. It really, that air water one, I'm there.
You will love it. You would also really like the Fire one, actually.
I'm sure.
And and the music's good too. The music's really upbeat and
Really?
and quite kind of, well, you'll have to see and let me know when you've seen them and
I
what you think.
will, yeah, of course, of course. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording now. So do you want to just say any last words or just a bye or anything?
Just, yeah, everyone, you know, I think, you know, well done for discovering yoga, and keep learning, you know, and also I think just keep trying different styles and see what suits you and different teachers, and I think also, rather than necessarily staying with the same teacher, I mean, unless you found one that's probably got, like, you know, 50 years of experience, which is quite unlikely, I think you get so many different things from different teachers that I think it's a really nice thing to try out different teachers, and,
Yeah.
and rather than just say, this is my teacher and I'm going to stay with this
Yeah.
person. Yeah.
Thank you. Nice little
Thank
yoga
you.
tip there.
Thank you.